Hello everyone, and welcome to our Management Consulting Roundtable. My name is Josette Lowa, and I'm the Professional Development Coordinator at CMC Canada. And I'm thrilled to be your host for this event today. We have a dynamic session lined up with some incredible speakers who will share their experiences, insights, and practical advice on a variety of topics related to management consulting. Before we get started, I want to remind you that the session is being recorded and it will be available in our YouTube channel. Today, we're going to discuss career pathways, the value of the CMC designation, essential consulting skills, ethics, and professionalism. Our expert speakers will guide you through each topic, and at the end of the workshop, we'll have a chance to dive deeper through breakout rooms where you can ask our speakers your questions directly. Before we dive into the discussions, let me introduce our speakers for today. First, we have Abe Patricio. Abe is a principal at Stantec, leading the transportation business for Canada East within the program management and construction management practice, handling major projects. His current projects include a construction management contract for TTC and project control services for Metrolink's multi-billion-dollar subways program. AB holds a BSc in civil engineering from the University of Philippines and an MBA from York University's Schulich School of Business. He is a fellow CMC and has served on various CMC Canada boards, including past chair of the GTA chapter. He is also a volunteer and mentor with multiple not-for-profits. Welcome, Abe. We also have today with us Dr. Al Thibault. Al is a Canadian engineer and certified management consultant with an advanced certificate for executive in management, innovation, and technology from MIT Sloan. With over 40 years of experience, he led the Mr. team to win the 2022 CMC Global Contestinus Gold Medal for a coal transition and economic renewal strategy. Al holds a PhD in energy engineering from the University of North Dakota, focusing on rare earth industry challenges. His consulting practice specializes in dynamic simulation models to address sustainability strategy challenges. Welcome, Al. Our third speaker is Rochelle Holterman. Rochelle is a partner at Holterman Walter Strategy, Inc., a business advisory firm in Regina, Saskatchewan. With 19 years of consulting experience, she has held the CMC designation since 2013 and is also a project management professional. Rochelle focuses on impactful projects, particularly with Indigenous communities. She specializes in strategic planning, stakeholder engagement, project management, governance, and organizational improvement. Her clients span from the public, private, and non-for-profit sectors, including government ministries, crowns, municipalities, and post-secondary institutions. Rochelle serves as a director on the Institute of Certified Management Consultants of Saskatchewan. Welcome, Rochelle. And last but not least, we have Tommy Odunlami. Tommy is a manager in the People Advisory Service practice at EY, with 7 years of experience across sectors, including consumer goods, healthcare, oil and gas, education technology, public, and non-for-profit. He has spent 6 years consulting in Africa and Canada, focusing on communications, change management, governance, stakeholder management, and industrial organizational transformations. Tommy holds a Bachelor of Engineering in Mechanical Engineering and an MBA specializing in international business and organizational change. Welcome, Tommy. Each of our speakers will lead a discussion on one or more of the topics mentioned before, and after all the discussions are completed, we will open up the floor for Q&A. The Q&A will take place in breakout rooms, which will be assigned randomly. We will automatically move to a breakout room, and each room will be hosted by one or more of our speakers, allowing you to ask your questions directly. So without further ado, let's jump into our first topic. So yeah, to start, let's explore career pathways in management consulting. Um, I know this is such an exciting topic for all of us because there are so many different paths within the consulting industry, whether you're looking at a boutique firm or large global consulting organization. First, let's hear from Rachel and Tommy about their career journeys and the different consulting roles they have experienced. Rachel?
Great. Thank you, Gisette. Well, nice to meet all of you and a pleasure to be here today, and looking forward to kind of sharing my story and my experiences in management consulting so far in my career. So I'm going to tell kind of my story and path that I've experienced, and it's been more from a small boutique firm. So when I was a recent business administration graduate out of the University of Regina, about 20 years ago, I really knew nothing about consulting. At the time as a student, I wasn't really exposed to it in university like students are now, fortunately, through partnerships like this through CMC. So while our business program used a lot of cases in classes and project group work, I knew I liked that project style of assignment, but never really knew how that could potentially translate into a possible career in management consulting. So upon graduation, I was eager to get employed and get a job, and the job market was fairly tight in Regina at the time, but I came across a business analyst position at a local management consulting firm. So it's a bit of a leap for me. I didn't know much about the company or about the type of work that they do, but I was really looking forward to kind of that first step into the job field. So very fortunately, the company took a chance on me, and the rest is history. And I was converted into this world of management consulting. So like I said, I would classify the firm that I worked at as a small local boutique management consulting firm. We flexed anywhere over the years from about a group of 5 consultants up to staff of 15. In working at this firm, I really built my consulting knowledge from the ground up. And my approach every day was to be a shadow of my boss and other experienced consultants on staff, and really be a sponge to soak up every learning and experience I could from being in meetings with my boss and my colleagues, as well as with our clients and on the projects that we worked on. So I really worked hard to kind of demonstrate my ability to learn and take on more responsibility as I could over the years. So I worked my way from a business analyst who that was kind of our entry level job that focused more on kind of project support, research, and documentation. Up to a business consultant. That position had more kind of delivery and relationship responsibility and more leadership accountability on projects, eventually up to a senior business consultant. And then I also took on some internal responsibility managing our business development pursuits. So seeking new clients and projects and revenues for our firm. Along that path, I obtained my CMC designation in 2013. Yeah, I think there are benefits and differences to being in a large firm versus a small firm, and Abel definitely speak from his experience more in a large firm. The small firm environment really was a good fit for my personality. It felt like a family, and I kind of knew every day what I did was mattering to the bottom line in our company overall. Um, while we didn't have as much resources as potentially a large firm does, I really had a lot of good opportunity with exposure working alongside the president of our company, going to meetings with executives, things like that. So I was just kind of able to soak a lot of that in to build my experience over the years. Eventually, after 16 years at this firm, it led me to have the interest to start my own company with a colleague I had worked there with for 10 years. So we started our own firm in 2020, kind of at the beginning of COVID, which was an interesting time, but fortunately, it has been a really great move for us. It enabled us to have more control over kind of who we work with, the types of projects that we're working on, and how we want to spend our time. I would say in kind of that small environment, you need to be really entrepreneurial. It is a bit undefined path, but if you kind of thrive in that, then that could be a good suit uh, for you. So yeah, I'll just maybe kind of cap it off with, if you're wondering whether or not consulting is for you, I would have you consider, do you like having kind of no one day be the same? Do you like the idea of working on a variety of different projects and clients, just not one thing? Do you like kind of being the driver of your own destiny and getting out what you put in, and putting kind of pieces of a solution together, like a puzzle? So often we might not at the beginning kind of know what the answer is, but if you're comfortable in kind of being in the unknown and collaborating with others to find that solution, consulting might be for you. So with that, I'll pass it over to Abe.
Right, thank you, Rochelle. Tommy, do you want to add
Oh, sorry,
something
Tommy.
to?
Yeah. Well, very different experiences from my end, just because, working in a bigger firm. Also, my background is actually very different. If you have noticed, my first degree was mechanical engineering. I did have the opportunity to actually work as a mechanical engineer, upstream, downstream, oil and gas, midstream, transition to consumer packaged goods. So yeah, it was a varied experience for me. For me, like, I guess why I switched to consulting was because I didn't like being pigeonholed into one thing for an extended period of time, and consulting for me was the out to give me that breadth of experience that I was looking for. And so far, so good. It's been really great. Most especially like working with a large firm with resources spread across the world, actually. Not just like across Canada, but across the world. So I've had opportunity to work on projects across Canada, and then I've had an opportunity to collaborate with resources or other employees in our offices, like all around the world, I should say. So yeah, it's been a really great experience for me. Like I said, my path isn't really traditional. After I was done with my engineering degree, worked for a bit, and then I decided to go back to school. And then I did an MBA. Why did I do an MBA? I was very intrigued by the business side of things, I guess, of all of the work that we're doing. So for us as engineers, we maintain equipment that produces a certain good or service. And for me, I was always curious as to what happens once that material that we've transformed into a finished goods leaves our finished goods warehouse, and how is that converted into income for the company. So I was really interested in the business side of things. I was really interested in how people were managed throughout the organization, or how resources were managed throughout the organization to move things from like raw materials to finished products, right? So for me, the MBA was pretty much I'll say my golden ticket out of the golden handcuffs of mechanical engineering, if I must say. And so far, it's been really good. Getting into consulting, the same as Rochelle, I had to build my consulting chops from the ground up, just because, being working with machines, they don't talk back. Well, they tell you what's wrong with them and then you fix them. But getting into consulting, like you talk to people, they might tell you what's wrong, they might not tell you what's wrong, they might tell you half of what's wrong, and then you have to like figure out these things as you go along. And then you had to talk to people a lot more than I did while an engineer. So people skills had to be developed relatively quickly, being able to synthesize large volumes of information, being able to make inferences and reduce assumptions as much as possible, and also being able to like flex your communication style to adapt uh, to your client or to other people in the office, just to ensure that it's a collegial atmosphere, and then we're able to get to a solution in due time. So I'd say for me, the biggest learning was building out my soft skills, getting into consulting. Um, in terms of like other career paths in consulting, I'd say consulting it's very broad, especially in a large firm like ours. Our consultant arms are broken down into, I think it's three major arms. Yes, no, four actually, four major arms. So there's people consultant, there's business consultant or transformation architecture consultant, there's technology consultant, and then there is financial consultant. So these are all like various consulting spaces that you can find yourself in. And then within those 4 domains, there's like multiple sectors that we get to work across. Myself, I have worked in the oil and gas sector. I've worked in power and utilities. I've worked in healthcare. I've worked in retail and fast-moving consumer goods, and I've worked in government and public sector as well. Um, it doesn't matter if you're in business consulting, people consulting, tech consulting, or finance consulting. You will have the opportunity of working across various sectors. We have our own internal in-house skill sets and tools and methodologies that we use. That we get to learn as well. So again, aside from learning from consulting itself, I had to learn our own internal methodology and understand how that is also adaptable. Again, we don't do cookie cutter approaches here. You learn the methodology and then you understand um, the client's need, and then we apply that as is needed. I don't want to take too much of our time, but I guess for me, that's basically what my path looked like getting into consulting and what the work has been so far.
No, right on, right on. Thank you very much, Tommy and Rochelle, for your thoughts. It's clear that the journey through consulting can take many forms, and there's no one size fits all kind of path, right? So yeah, thank you so much. And with that, we will move to our next topic. We'll dive into the value of the CMC designation. The designation is highly regarded within the industry, and today we'll hear from Al and Abe about how the CMC has shaped their careers and why it is so important. Abe, Al, over to you.
Abe, go ahead.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to participate in this discussion, and glad to meet everyone. So myself, as I was mentioned, I'm a principal with Stantec Consulting, which is one of the largest engineering design firms. And with regards to the designation itself, just to share a little bit of the experience that I've had, I'm also an engineer by degree. I worked as an engineer very briefly in the start of my career. Then I went into management consulting. And in management consulting, it's one of those things that came to me more by chance as opposed to design, if you will. And one of the things I found was that over time, of course, your skill set improves. But I think having the CMC designation, and it's not just the designation itself, but being part of this association is very, very helpful, because it helps to put structure and understanding in terms of the knowledge that one has. And so far as management consulting is concerned, I mean, that's the reason we go to school. We can actually learn a lot of the things on our own, but when you go to school, it helps to provide a structure and organized manner in which the learning is provided to you. And that's one of the things that I think is very helpful with the association, with the designation, is that there are specific courses that one needs to learn, and that to some extent helps to provide I would say, science in terms of understanding what it is to be a management consultant. Over time, there is the need to develop that science into the art, I would suggest. And a large part of it is, dealing with people, managing consulting stakeholders, whether it be your clients, whether it be fellow consultants as well, both in your firm or outside of your firm, that you will need to engage, and also other stakeholders, whether it be in the public sector, or other stakeholders such as shareholders, for example, that you will need to engage with. So I think having the CMC designation helps you to at least understand those fundamentals, put some structure and organization into that. And the association is obviously an important part of how that is going to be shared and developed over time. And as important, over time, you also need to make sure you develop yourself professionally on an ongoing basis, right? Things change, technologies change, learning, and also the business environment change. So having an association, having the designation, I think is very, very helpful, because this is really a community of consultants. And part of that is also being able to understand how well you perform with, in comparison to other consultants, because the big part of it is knowing what is out there, what is changing in the business environment, and then being able to adapt and adjust your own learning to that constant changing environment. And finally, a big part of it is also the networking. I would suggest, no one becomes successful on their own. In order to be successful in any field, regardless of what you do, you need to be able to develop skills that are important in terms of collaborating, cooperating with others, and being seen as someone that is also collaborative in the process. Okay, regardless of how smart you are, of how knowledgeable you are, no individual will be able to be successful on their own. So having that designation, being part of the association and this consulting community, I think is very, very helpful in order for you to develop yourself professionally and part of your own professional growth. Okay, and with that, I'll pass it on to Al.
I'll unmute. Today is a perfect example of learning from every opportunity. So I am definitely going to steal from Abe that great line. You learn the science first, and then the art of management consulting. That is absolutely spot on. I just want to mention two things about the value of management consulting. The first one, we've heard it just from the previous presentations. A lot of the value is in the opportunities that every engagement creates. Every engagement that you have teaches you something about the next engagement and open up opportunities for you that you didn't imagine at the start. But really what I want to focus on today is what I've learned in my role as the registrar for the CMC Saskatchewan. So each of the provinces are organized into certifying institutes, as you are learning, and so each CI, as we call it, Certified Institute, has a registrar who, not to dramatize it too much, is the gatekeeper for your admission into as a practicing member as a CMC, transitioning from associate to fully qualified CMC. And so my perspective is that the value is in the brand. How we take you through that admission process, the rigorous path to certification, the knowledge that you have to gain, verifying your work experience, and then finally the oral assessment exam, a 2-hour exam by senior CMCs, just to make sure that you not only understand how to deliver management consulting, that's hugely important, but how to sustain yourself in the practice of management consulting. It doesn't do anybody any favors if you get a couple of really good engagements, but are just not able to sustain yourself as in my case, in Rochelle's cases, in this small boutique consulting firm. So you learn that. An important fact about certified management consultant designation, just to distinguish it from engineering, is the CMC is a right to title. Unless you've been approved by a certifying institute, you do not have any legal authority to call yourself a certified management consultant. We don't have the right to the word consulting, obviously, or consultant. There's lots of people running around with consultant, but nobody except a certified member can claim that the title CMC. So that's a huge part of your brand, and as Gisette mentioned at the outset, it's a very highly regarded brand, simply for exact reason that we do protect it quite heavily. So the going along with that, one of the key things is the Uniform Code of Professional Conduct really is a huge part of becoming a certified CMC, and what you are basically agreeing to and understanding is that there's 3 huge responsibilities. Your responsibility to the public is paramount. You undertake, just like a doctor does, to treat people, get them well, or engineers do to build physical infrastructure to make lives easier, as a management consultant, you understand that you are delivering services to the public in a specific way, in a very professional way. And there's a lot of value in that to the brand. You have a responsibility to your fellow members and your profession for your conduct and behavior. So uh, you you act and behave as a professional, and you get value out of that from the engagements that you'll win and it, get involved in, simply because you are uh, a certified professional. And then there's the professional image that you project, and all the things that come along with that. Um, so that's just to summarize, the value in the brand means that the brand is protected. It's there for you. We do our part as certifying members of the council and in the certifying institutes, but every CMC does their part by projecting that professional image in how they approach every engagement that they have, and delivering such high quality professional services to the public, and we're rewarded with that, with their trust. So I'll stop there and turn it back over to Giselle.
Thank you, Al and A, for sharing your insights into the value of the CMC, and also the association. That shows that the designation can open doors, but more critically provide a strong foundation for long-term success. So thank you for that. And now let's move to our third topic of today. Let's talk about consulting skills and competencies. As the consulting landscape evolves constantly, new skills are emerging that are essential to staying competitive, from data analytics to digital transformation, and so many more. To help us understand what skills are key to success today, we'll hear from Rachel once again, and Al.
Go ahead, Rochelle.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm going to focus more on those soft skills that I believe are really important as a management consultant and working with clients and stakeholders. And we heard a little bit of that already from both Abe and Tony earlier. So I actually think these soft skills are going to become more and more important moving forward, as AI is perhaps able to do some of the other different tasks we do on a day-to-day basis. It's going to become more essential for us to have these strong human skills that technology can't hopefully replace, to demonstrate our value as consultants. So I'm just going to go through a few of them that were kind of top of mind for me, that have already been kind of mentioned a bit today. Relationship building is everything. It's relationship building from getting new clients and new project work, building rapport throughout your project delivery process, and then keeping those relationships going for hopefully getting repeat and referral work down the road. So it's important to have those skills that you can create that rapport with your clients. It's important to just be personable, be yourself, and have that ability to collaborate, and really at all levels within an organization, depending on the type of project that you're doing. You might be working with more frontline staff, or you might be working all the way up to presenting your proposed solutions to executives. So you need to be able to adjust your communication approaches and your messaging to be able to resonate with what matters with each of those audiences that you're working with along the way. Conducting stakeholder engagement is really key. Again, we all have different paths and do different type of work. Stakeholder engagement is part of each and every project that I do. And really, it's about creating a comfortable environment for your stakeholders to be able to engage with you and be open. You want to be able to set that tone to allow them to feel comfortable and trust you, So you can get open and honest opinions that will allow you to do a really good work with the consulting project that you're working on. Kind of connected to that is asking the right questions. I heard recently in a meeting that a consultant is only as good as the questions that we ask. So it's really important to prepare those right questions that are going to get at the answers that you need for the project that you're working on. Aligned with that is active listening. So really being able to listen closely to those that you're engaging what they're saying, repeating that back, confirming, clarifying. And I think it's important for us to usually do more listening than talking in a meeting. So having those active listening skills is really important. Preparing for meetings, the people that we're often meeting with are really busy and their time is precious. So being really clear with the objectives and should it be a meeting to begin with is important to assess. But defining an agenda that achieves those objectives, who's leading what, apportioning your time appropriately so you can keep that meeting on track, and then being able to kind of recap and what are your action items at the end of a meeting that you can follow up on. Communication and presentation skills are essential. It's in everything we do every day, whether that is written or verbal, emails, client presentations, summaries. It's important that we're really concise and clear and professional in every type of communication that we're doing with stakeholders and our clients. Time management and organization is really essential. It might vary in terms of whether you might be assigned one large project that you're kind of solely focused on, or like myself, I'm usually managing a handful of different projects at any one time. So being able to multitask, schedule, and prioritize and manage your time on a weekly, monthly basis is really critical. That mentioned in my opening that I've had the fortune and opportunity to work with a lot of First Nations communities and organizations in Saskatchewan. And I think with the importance of reconciliation in our country, it's really important that we all do our part in educating ourselves and supporting positive action. So whether you're working with First Nations communities or organizations directly as your client, or often as a stakeholder that you're engaging on a project, it's really important to respect their history, cultures, and values, and consider that in how you're engaging and working with those groups. So I think that's a really important aspect and consideration for management consultants in doing their work moving forward. And in the end, just being confident in yourself is really important. Early in my career, I was often the youngest person in the room, often the only female in the room. And I remember my boss telling me, don't worry, while they're a CEO of a large organization, they're just a person like you and me in the end. So just be yourself and be confident that there's a reason that you were there. And you'll learn through those experiences along the way. Over to you, Al.
There we go. So Rochelle focused on the soft skills. I'm going to focus on what I call methodology skills, but you'll see it termed a lot as the hard skills, something, a little bit more technical, not always, hands-on turning a wrench, physical, like engineering skills or something like that. But just a lot of times management consultants have to apply, as Abe mentioned previously, a structure, the science of management consulting. So there's lots of different methodologies that you learn. So for example, in your MBA or EMBA classes, even the HR management, there are financial methodologies for constructing cost-benefit analysis, for constructing business cases, those kinds of things. The other thing about management consulting is that there are so many domains that you'll find management consultants. There's specialists in HR, project managers, systems engineers, change management professionals, business analysis, and each one of those have methodologies associated with them as well. So for project management, there are two dominant organizations, Project Management Institute, PMI, but also the Prince 2 Institute out of Britain. Really interesting framework that they have for delivering projects. System engineering is often associated with engineering projects, but more and more, what I'm finding is that the methodologies associated with system engineering are used in large-scale business definition, enterprise management of businesses. So it's an interesting set of methodologies there. A lot of management consultants work in IT. And there's a couple of interesting methodologies there. COBIT is one that was originally designed by accountants, and then it goes by a really weird acronym, TOGAF, the Open Group Architecture Framework, how to put large systems together that actually can be verifiably linked, the requirements are linked to the business strategy. So that's a really interesting methodology, that one that I used for a number of years. I mentioned change management. So there's a very popular methodology from a group called PROSCI, PROSCI. They don't teach you how to coach people through change. What they do teach you is how to manage change and large transitions. And projects, for example, there's a certain things, structure of things, getting ready for change, managing change, following up on change. And those are the things that are covered in that methodology. And then, of course, business analysis. There's a lot of consultants like Rochelle that started with business as in business analysis. And there's a certification and a really wonderful book, the Business Analysis Book of Knowledge, that coaches you through the methodologies used to help businesses understand the requirements and develop, evaluate alternatives, and then come up with solutions for business transition. So really a lot of methodologies that you develop skills and competencies to deliver your work over time. So I'll just stop there. Thanks.
Thank you, Rochelle and Al, for those valuable tips. Staying on top of evolving skills is always so important in today's consulting environment. And Rochelle, I will steal something that you said just to close this section, and that is that it is all about continuous learning and adaptation. You were right on that. So thank you very much for your thoughts. And now let's move to the last topic of today. Let's discuss ethics and professionalism in consulting. As consultants, you face complex ethical challenges, and your ability to navigate these situations with integrity is essential. So Tommy, Abe, to discuss these importance of ethics in consulting and how to handle the difficult ethical dilemmas that can arise in the profession. I will ask for your thoughts and experience.
Okay.
Over to you.
Yeah, Tommy, do you want to go ahead and I'll follow up after?
Yeah. So ethics plays a large role in consulting as a whole. If you look through history, there's a lot of things that we can learn from history. There's a very common example, maybe some of you have heard from business school, it's Enron. That's the one that comes to mind. But then there's also like a lot of other examples out there. So Enron, Andersen Consulting, was involved in that scandal. And what happened was post that scandal, like Andersen itself, they ceased to exist as they were, and then they had to be broken apart. It basically just speaks to the huge role that ethics has to play with the work that we do. We are supposed to be seen as trusted advisors. And for us to be trusted, we need to have a very strong, I don't want to call it moral, but we need to have a very strong ethical standard to which we adhere to, which then engenders trust in our clients, and also engenders trust in the public also. Because if we look at using that Enron example for as a baseline, even though it was Enron that collapsed, a lot of people in the public space also got affected by that. So you understand that businesses exist to provide goods or services to the public, and we as consultants, we exist to provide services to businesses on a large scale, but then also sometimes to the public. So when we're talking about ethics in terms of consulting, it does, even to a higher degree, I should say, it does play a huge role just because of the number of lives and number of people or number of stakeholders that are actually going to be involved if we actually do have an ethical failing. For the CMC, for those who are aspiring to be CMCs here, the CMC has a very strong ethics course, I should say. It's something that is imperative, or one of the key things that you need to actually go through before you can actually be certified as a CMC. In my day-to-day work, working with clients in terms of like client relationships, in terms of contract relationships, ethics has to be baked into every single proposal that we put out there for our firm, where we have independence restrictions and independence requirements that we are required to maintain in order to actually conduct business. And these requirements go along those ethics lines strongly. So in terms of like investments, we're not allowed to hold certain investments in any of our clients that we actually do audit work for, any other business work for, just because we need to maintain that independence and that to ensure that there is no conflict of interest in terms of the services that we're providing. So it doesn't matter if you're not going to be providing services for that client, as far as our firm as a whole is providing services for that client, we are restricted in what we can do. That way, we're able to maintain our arm's length and independence to ensure that we're actually providing the best level of service. We're providing the best advice possible, because there is no profit in terms of gain from giving that advice that we will personally get from that. So, I mean, there's a lot of other things to touch on from an ethics perspective, but this is just one example. I'll let Abe fill in the blanks here.
Thanks, Tommy. So with regards to ethics and professionalism, I think that the bottom line is, I'm always have this discussion ever so often with a number of team members and staff, is that regardless, one needs to be ethical and professional in whatever profession you are. That's the bottom line. Now, more so in management consulting, especially because we've talked about relationships, we've talked about needing to work with others, we talked about being collaborative and not being working solely on your own. So you need to be someone who will be seen as having a very positive reputation and personal brand, if you will, because you will want to be seen as an individual that others can work with, that others can trust, that others can be seen as a team player. Yes, you need to contribute individually, and you will behave ethically and professionally in your own way, but you will also need to be seen as someone who will be a good member of a team, right? That someone will see you as an individual that they can trust, that they can see as being worthwhile in order to be successful. So I think the bottom line in all of that is that if you don't develop yourself in a manner that's professional and ethical, over time you will be seen as someone that will not be worthwhile being part of any team, whether you're working with a large team or even just working individually, with other clients, because you will not be seen as someone that can be trusted, that can deliver results. And that will be an important part of how you're going to be seen and how you're going to be able to work with others. And at the end of the day, it's just part of your long-term professional growth and career. Okay. No one will be able to have a long career longevity, if you will, in any profession, if you're not going to be seen as someone that's cynical. So I think it's something that we continuously talk about within the association, within CMC, because it is part of not only who we are as an association and as management consultants, but it's also for our own personal benefit. And in time, if you nurture that, that as part of your personal brand, and I think it will go a long way in terms of how you will continue to develop yourself professionally. So with that, I'll pass it back to Josette, and I think we've covered all the topics we wanted to cover for this round.
Yeah, that is correct. Thank you very much, Tommy and Abe, for those examples. I think we could say that strong ethical foundation is key to a successful and sustainable consultant career. Yeah, and you're right. With that, we will end the we have finished the discussion on those 4 topics. And now, as promised, we are going to open the floor for questions. For that, we have set up Zoom breakout rooms, and you will all automatically be assigned to one. A reminder that you can turn, and I'm talking to our attendees today, you can turn your cameras on and bring those questions to our speakers today. Once in the breakout rooms, feel free to ask anything about today's topics or any other questions that you have in mind about consulting. The breakout rooms will be open for about 10 minutes, so we will come back to the main room right on the dot, I think, in the hour. I will, for the first room, I will request Rochelle if you can be kind of the director and give the mic to those that have questions. And for room 2, I will ask Abe to be the director. Is that okay?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, awesome. I'll be jumping from room to room, and I will open them now. So see you in a bit. Thank you.
Thanks.